Hello Internet, Mike Bertolini here. As this will mark the official start of Season 2 on my channel, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to play Alone Against the Flames by Chaosium for Call of Cthulhu 7th Edition. It's a solitary adventure, so it's just going to be me reading the adventure. I won't be using Roll20 for visual aid. I've already created a character, Samuel Pell, which I'll be using for this story. I'll put his stats on the screen. I'll also be giving my own comments concerning decisions Sam will be making. There are only certain options available, so I'll be sure to make those that I feel most appropriate for Sam, not necessarily my expectations. Alone Against the Flames was written by Gavin Inglis. This is a solo adventure for the Call of Cthulhu game. It's a horror story set in the 1920s where you are the main character and your choices determine the outcome. It is also designed to lead you through the basic rules of the game in a gradual and entertaining fashion. Although most such adventures are played with your friends, this one is just for you. Just settle in a comfortable chair before a roaring fire, then read on and follow the instructions. On second thought, don't sit too close to the fire. The sun is high in the sky, a merciless ball of heat. You feel scorched by the time you reach the bus halt in front of Osborne's drugstore. It's a relief to put down your heavy cases and take off your hat for a moment. You fan your face. It's been a long summer here in your hometown, and yet a curiously empty one. You look across the street at the grubby butcher shop, the grocer's with its fading awning, and the shabby tobacconist. Mistrustful faces glare at you as they pass, eyeing your clothes and luggage. It was your parents' choice to live here, not yours. You were happy down south as a child, among Providence's white-walled houses and leafy churchyards. Perhaps this new job in Arkham will supply the change you need. Everybody you know in the world lives here. You know nobody in Arkham, not one soul. You ask yourself one last time if you were doing the right thing. The answer is here. None of your supposed friends have come to see you off. You are alone. Whatever challenges lie in Arkham, it will be a new life and a brave one. A small gray motor coach approaches and rattles to a stop. You put your hat back on and pick up your cases. Two young men with solemn expressions alight from the coach. One looks you up and down before heading away. The driver also steps down, glancing at you before crossing the road to visit the tobacconist. When he returns, he is rolling a cigarette between his yellowed fingers. He gives a final twist and examines you as he reaches for his matchbox. He is a thin man in his 50s, dressed in a stained shirt with the bus company emblem. Yet his eyes are sharp in their dark sockets. Where to? You show him your ticket to Ossipee. From there you will reconnect to Rochester and Portsmouth, before the coastal line to Newburyport, and finally Arkham. You should be able to afford a rail ticket at least some of the way. Otherwise, this will be the first of many long bus trips. The driver scratches the match and lights a cigarette. The end flares as he takes a draw. Then he exhales and gestures to the back of the coach. Luggage rack's up there. The driver smokes and watches as you drag your cases to the back of the motor coach. The rack is set inconveniently high in the vehicle. You get a grip on the heavier case. The driver continues to enjoy his cigarette, watching with keen interest as you struggle with the cases. You grit your teeth and heave the second one into place. Perhaps the residents of Arkham will have better manners. The driver flicks the cigarette into the gutter and steps into the motor coach. His engines cough to life. You board, grateful that you will be the only passenger for the initial part of the trip at least. With mixed emotions, you watch from the window as the tired avenues of your hometown slip behind you, receding into the distance. For a few minutes, you can still see the church spire over the brow of a low hill, and the road dips, and it too is gone. Arkham is your new home. You will travel there and make a new start. The coach putters through the countryside. At first, the interior is stifling, and your stomach lurches with every bend in the road. However, the driver opens his window, and by switching seats, you find a spot where the breeze hits your face. You soon relax into the journey, observing the quaint little hamlets that the coach serves. A heavy-set woman boards at one settlement and gives you a polite nod. She gets off at the next one. The road rises a little, passing cornfields and orchards. The leaves are turning and the trees are alive with glorious reds and golds. You have just begun to doze when the driver takes a tight bend at speed. A desperate yell awakens you. You feel yourself slide from the seat as the driver spins the wheel and the motor coach plunges off the road. Too late. You reach for the seat in front. You fall into the aisle and your ribs crash against the edge of the seat opposite. Breath rushes out of you. The coach stops with a thump. The driver leaps from the seat to the road. As you sprawl, dizzy, in the aisle, you hear a string of incendiary curses. The driver climbs back into the cab and sees you on the floor. He looks concerned and assists you back to your seat. You see what has happened now. A Ford tractor is stopped in the road and he hits a swerve to avoid the steel obstacle. Sorry, he says. All them fields and he has to pick the road to park. You alright? You don't think anything's broken, but you'll have a colorful bruise for the next few days. He backs the coach up a little and threads it around the tractor, glaring at the farmer. You resume your journey. The driver takes the curves with more caution than before. He glances over his shoulder at you a couple times. Sorry about before, he says. That fellow was dumber than a hog. I'm Silas. What's your name? The accident was at least much Silas's fault as the farmer's, but it doesn't seem true to antagonize the man while he is driving you through the middle of nowhere. The coach turns onto a narrow road, which moves uphill through woodland. Silas becomes chatty. Going to Arkham, eh? Can't say I ever heard of the place. Went to Boston once. Didn't like it. Too much hustle and bustle. You got a family there? Special someone waiting? The afternoon's wearing on. You see no harm in confiding in Silas about your new life. Job, eh? What you learn? You mentioned the residency you will be taking up at St. Mary's Hospital. The institution is well regarded, and you're both thrilled and slightly uneasy at the range of patients and maladies it receives. Still, as an old professor of yours used to say, by practice alone can you become expert. A doctor, eh? Folks will always need a nose. Did you catch a note of distrust in Silas's voice? Or are you just being paranoid? You realize Silas hadn't made a stop since the incident with the tractor. The motor coach winds its way uphill. However, your thoughts are interrupted as the road crests a ridge and you are treated to a magnificent view of the vistas below. A creek sneaks through the valley, breaking the rich autumn palette of the tree line. In the distance, the white mountains rise into a hazy cloud. There is no settlement, not even a cabin, as far as the eye can see. Birds drift through the treetops, and you can just make out what might be two white-tailed deer lingering near the water. Perhaps you are making a mistake by moving to the city. Could you survive on your own in this lush wilderness? The motor coach rattles on through the hills and Silas lapses into silence. The sky darkens behind you, pink tints in the clouds as the sun descends. Finally, a welcome sight comes into view. A settlement on the crest of a hill. This doesn't look like the pictures you've seen of Ossipee, but perhaps you can persuade Silas to stop while you stretch your legs. Minutes later, harsh stuttering from the engine interrupts your reverie. Silas frowns and rattles the gear stick. The motor coach falters in its descent. Silas utters a curse that you don't recognize and grinds his teeth, struggling at the wheel. You seem to inch up the hill until you reach the first buildings. Low dwellings constructed from a rough red stone. Silas wrestles the coach into a small bay off the road. He scrambles from the seat and makes for the engine compartment. The noise you heard could, of course, indicate engine trouble, but they also seem consistent with bad gear selection and incorrect clutching. It seems highly unlikely that an experienced coach driver would suddenly get this wrong, even after a long day's drive. This is a ruse to make you spend your time and money in a local shop. Silas will be sadly disappointed in your purchasing power. Silas opens the engine compartment and sticks his head inside. A hot metal pops and sizzles. Looks at various components, and withdraws and wipes his brow, smearing it with dark grease. I ain't sure what's wrong. Might be the oil pressure. Might be something knocked off kilter when we took that spill. Can't do much until the engine cools neither. And with the light failing, I reckon we'll be his for the night. He wipes his hands on a rag. The shadows from your surroundings are already long. The air is chilly. You feel stiff from the journey, and a night in the rickety coach sounds unappealing. Silas sees your dismay. This here's Emberhead, mouse money place. I only come through twice a week, but the folks here are good people. May Ledbetter keeps a spare room. She'll look after you. Up that alley, turn right. First house on the left. He scratches his cheek, looks again into the engine compartment, and spits in the ground. Meet me back here 8 in the morning, and we'll see how we stand. You drag your cases between the sullen buildings. You feel surprisingly weary, considering you spent all day sitting down. Silas's direction leads you to a modest dwelling with a slate roof. A nameplate reads Ledbetter, and underneath, a sign in neat copper plate reads Lodging Room. The land around you is gloomy, but a lamp flickers in the window. A breeze chills your face. You're not about to begin your new life by sleeping in the street. You rap on the weather-beaten door. After a moment, you hear footsteps inside the house. A bolt is drawn back and the wooden door swings open. A figure with loose curls and a rough-looking house dress peers at you. Her gaze takes in your traveling suit and your cases. Her voice has a slight Irish flight. Hello. Should I take it as you're looking for the room for the night? You inquire to her rates, suppressing a grimace. As far as you've seen, the village does not offer you many alternatives. Oh, you'll find them very reasonable, she says. You look tired. I may. Come inside and we'll talk over a cup of tea. The Ledbetter house feels cramped. The low ceiling and simple fittings, but is well kept and a cheerful fire crackles in the grate. The aroma of the tea is soothing and the cup warms your fingers. Have you come to Emberhead for the festival? Asks May. Here, I decided to tell May about Silas's breakdown. May shakes her head and you glimpse a moment of deep-seated anger in her green eyes. He always drives too fast. Thinks the road is made for him and him alone. He had a mare sitting on his back. It was a terrible thing. You should have seen the state of the coach. You'd be surprised at the damage done. She sips her tea and gazes past you to the corner of the room. We live in here, though. We can't afford to antagonize the man. He's about the only link we have to the world at large. He's not a bad soul at heart. I suppose that going in the same roof for 15 years makes a man careless. You have to forgive him. May goes silent for a long moment. Her eyes flick back to you. But you didn't come here to listen to me blather, and you must be hungry. I can rustle you up a bit of stew. What would that be? You're asking about her rates, and May names a price so low you accept it without hesitation. The room is small but comfortable, the stew dark and hearty. After dinner, you have a couple hours before your usual bedtime. I decided to turn in for an early night. As May stands, you hear a clunk behind you. You look over your shoulder, but all you can see is a wooden door securely closed. May tuts. The young lady of the house, shall have us listen to us. Ruth! Come greet our guest. There's a short pause, and the door creaks open. Two white eyes peer at you from the gap between the tousled hair and a rough nightgown. What do you say? They blink. Pleased to meet you. Get back to bed. The door closes again. My daughter Ruth, 10 years this summer. She's a delight and a torment all in one. Don't worry, she sleeps in with me. I won't disturb you. Good night now. You retire to your room. It's a little chilly, but you are too tired to worry about lighting the fire. The sheets are clean and the bed soon warms up. The silence outside is strange after living in a town for so long, but you soon drop off. You dream of fire in the grate. Cascading colors shimmering through the dancing tongues of flame. At first they are tiny, almost microscopic, but they grow and grow until a kaleidoscopic inferno spills from the fireplace, spreading across the floor, up the sheets. You wake with a start. Daylight glints through the curtain, You get up and examine the grate, blinking the sleep from your eyes. It's quite cold. May seems to have no running water, but supplies some in a ceramic jug. You freshen up at the washstand and go in. She cooks a hearty breakfast and leaves you in peace to eat. At about 7:30, you're paid up, packed, and ready to go. You bid May goodbye, and she wishes you the best for your new career in Arkham. You're already tired of your heavy bags. Hopefully, Silas is prepared to more coach, and you can resume your own journey. A sourpuss he might be, but the driver seemed to understand his vehicle well enough. You pause to check the watch. Still 20 minutes early, around the final corner. The motor coach is gone. You put your bags down and search the area, checking up and down the slopes and around corners. To the edge of the village, you trace the long road back as it winds across the hills. 8 o'clock comes and goes. There is no coach to be seen. Passing villager notices your bag. Looking for the bus? I heard him take off at first light. He's due back in 3 or 4 days. If you need a place to stay, maybe let better rent a room. The man raises his hat to you and strolls on into the village. You curse us under your breath. Perhaps he went for parts. But you wonder if the old goat is trying you here on purpose. May is doing laundry and looks surprised to see you again. Forgot something? When you explain the situation, she offers to store your bags while you try to arrange alternate transport. You are grateful to relinquish the load. Nobody here is anything like a car. She strokes her chin and narrows her eyes. Maybe you can find someone with a horse or cart for your bags. I can ask around later. Try Mr. Winters at the village hall. He'll know if anyone will. Or ask him on the artisans. Their workshops are first left on Salisbury Street. She reaches over and squeezes your wrist. Don't worry, I won't see you sleep in the street, money or no money. You think May and turn to face the village. You wander the streets of Emberhead without any particular destination in mind. The village is built on relatively flat upland with splendid views. To the north, the hazy tips of the White Mountains reach for the heavens. To the south, the sparkling waters of Lake Winnipesaukee touch the horizon. The village itself takes less than 5 minutes to cross from edge to edge. You arrive on the winding road to the west. Another road leads to the south, following a lower ridge of land as it turns east. In the southwest of the village, an open grassy space borders the ruined church. Its graveyard cresting the cliffs. To the northeast, the three main thoroughfares meet at a raised black metal structure. It looms stark against the blue sky. I decided to ask about transportation at the general store. The general store is on a corner beside the main road, just before it plunges to the south. The shopkeeper is a brisk, immense lady with a starched apron and strong shoulders. She looks hard at your unfamiliar face. Transport! There's a motor coach comes through twice a week. Missed it? Chuck brings in my supplies every second Tuesday. He's not due until next week. She shrugs. It seems Emberhead is content to keep his distance from the outside world. Upon leaving the store, I decided to walk down to the eastern road. The air is fresh, and the walk down to the lower ridge invigorating. You notice cultivated fields stretching through the lowlands around Emberhead and among the crops and livestock, but no horses. You're gonna have to make your onward journey on foot. Further down, the road skirts the edge of the ridge and descends. There are a few scattered hovels here, with signs of habitation. They are set a substantial distance apart. As you examine them, the door opens and an older man steps out. He wears a bedraggled suit, but carries a piece of cloth which he tosses over his head like a hood. As he does so, he sees you and freezes. The strange man breaks into a run, fleeing from you along the ridge. His gait is lopsided, but his movements have a maniacal intensity. I choose to let him run away. I don't chase. You turn back to the road and your core business, getting out of Emberhead and onwards to Ossipee. ridge gives you a good viewpoint from which you can see the course of the road. It wants the hills, disappearing into the woodland for a while before emerging further on. You lose sight of it somewhere towards the second patch of woodland. By your estimation, it is at least 6 or 7 miles distant. You see no other settlements or traffic. It may be worth taking a chance on walking. The weather is still mild, but you will need supplies before you attempt that. Your morning exertions have left you hungry. You roam the streets of Emberhead, looking for sustenance. There's nothing resembling the busy cafes of your hometown, or anything that might be called a restaurant. It is beginning to look like you have to get supplies from the general store when May Ledbetter comes down the street with a girl trailing in her wake. This must be Ruth. As she notices you, she races past her mother and approaches you with a smile. This is a different Ruth from the shy creature of last night. As she reaches you, she stops and stretches her arms up in celebration. She looks up into your eyes. Abruptly, the smile drops from her face and she looks several years older. Get out before the festival, she hisses. Get out! She breathes hard and scuttles back towards her mother. May approaches, wrapping her arm around her daughter's shoulders. She smiles. How are you going on? You found transport? Startled, you explain the frustration of the situation. I tried Mr. Winters in the village hall. He's always in an afternoon. You'll be hungry by now. Help yourself to any food in the house. The door's not locked. You glance at Ruth, where she has scrolled herself behind her mother's leg. Her eyes implore you to silence. I choose to say nothing concerning the warning Ruth gave me. You take your leave of the Ledbetters and head towards their house. The door opens easily. The little kitchen you make a meal from stodgy bread and leftover stew. A little window offers a view to the mountains. If you learned one thing this morning, it was that Emberhead streets hold little to occupy the visitor from out of town. But there's still about 5 hours of daylight remaining. You can take some provisions and the bare essentials from your luggage, set out in the hope of reaching another settlement before dark. Or you can ask advice from this Mr. Winters. The village hall overlooks the lower north ridge of the village. You walk along Salisbury Street to find it, conscious of the oppressive black metal structure framed at the end of the road. Shutters of the hall are open, some windows left ajar. There is no knocker, but a little bell over the entrance tinkles your push to the front door. Inside, a sturdy door to your right is marked private. To your left, an open leads through to a bright room. Benches line the walls, and there are 2 noticeboards mounted between the windows. I knock on the door marked private. You raise your hand to knock on the door, but it opens before you can complete the movement. The middle-aged gentleman behind it takes an involuntary step back, adjusting his spectacles. You hasten to apologize and introduce yourself. He steadies himself and peers at you. I see. I'm Clyde Winters. Just visiting, you say. And you've come to see me? Care for some coffee? I usually take a cup around this time of the afternoon. His invitation seems genuine enough, and a good opportunity to ask any questions that are on your mind. You step to the door marked private. The other side of the village hall is in marked contrast to the public space. The room is compact, lined with shelves of books and file alcoves. One corner is reserved for a tiny pantry and what is presumably a water closet. You study Mr. Winters as he fills up percolator. Although thin on top, his hair is oiled and neatly swept back. His suit is a sober affair, and will tailored even if the cut is a little old-fashioned. Unless a man working alone might have loosened his bow tie for comfort. On the desk against the opposite wall, you notice what looks like a telegraph set. I choose to make a small talk. I feel that's how Sam would behave. The pop begins to gurgle as you exchange pleasantry with Mr. Winters. Living here, it's a trade-off, like so much in life. He looks past you at a high shelf. I wish I could afford access to a proper library course. I know myself well enough. I'm strictly a dabbler. In the cities, he wrinkles his face in distaste. Too many people. Everybody rushing and shouting. We have a special place here in Emberhead. Someone must accept responsibility for keeping it so. That was my father before me, and now the duty falls to me. He lifts his chin and straightens up. This evening, as the sun sets, look out the landscape around the village. We have peace up here. Halfway to the stars. Are we not privileged? Is this not worth the hardships we must accept? He looks at you speculatively. This seems like a good time to ask about the telegraph. Telegraph? Much as we value our isolation, we do need a link sometimes. You were hoping to send a message? I must apologize. The line has been down for 2 weeks. I reported the fault, but of course they're not so speedy when the problem lies in a rural area. I'm expecting a repair the day after next. I do appreciate how frustrating this must be. The coach is due, what, 3 days? But I think he's going west. Perhaps he might engage a wagon. One of the farmers might explain that you have asked if you the residents already, but to no avail. I'll tell you what, and just pours you a steaming cup of coffee. The dark liquid smells rich and strong. When the repair crew arrive, I'll ask them to take you back with them. How would that be? You might want $1 or $2 to grease the wheels. Tomorrow? Less than ideal. But it's the first opportunity you've had. I choose to thank him and depart. As the light fades, you return to the Ledbetter house and eat a light supper. May is unusually taciturn. Ruth's eyes flick to you several times during the meal. There's urgency there you cannot quite interpret. Afterwards, May ushers the girl into their room. You've been in Emberhead for barely one whole day and you already feel confined by it, both geographically and socially. The evening seems to offer little. Sam stargazes. You stroll the streets of Emberhead. Already it feels like you know every corner, every doorstep. There are simply not that many of them. You emerge into an open space. The star field above you is arresting. The streetlights of your hometown always interfere with the view, even on a clear night. But here, in the lofty darkness, a multitude of tiny diamonds shimmer between the more familiar stars. The spectacle occupies you for a few minutes. Penetrating your gaze to earth, you notice a dark figure pressed behind the house. A loose stone skitters behind you. The second figure stares from the alleyway. I retreat to safety. The familiar surroundings of your guest room are becoming constrictive. The neat bed, small wardrobe, and dressing mirror have the feel of a prison cell about them. What are you still doing here in Emberhead? Your new life is elsewhere. You lie in the bed and stare at a small crack in the ceiling. You turn over the day's events, thinking through the little details you spotted. You are certainly weary from the elevation and the fresh air. But do you still feel safe here? Sam can't sleep, so choose to stay awake. Sleep presses down on you. You blink it back and sit up, trying to think through your situation. Everything in Emberhead seems to be working to stop you leaving. Perhaps the answer is to strike out at first light, to walk as far and as fast as you can. You can always return for your possessions, and if you lose them, there's nothing so precious that it cannot be replaced. A tiny creak draws your attention to the other side of the room. Slowly, almost silently, the doorknob is turning. Afraid, Sam returns to sleep. You slide into the bed and lie on your side, eyes closed. The hinges creak as the door opens. There is a long pause. A footfall sounds inside the room, then another. The steps are careful and feminine. You give it a moment, then open one eye crack. May crouches with her back to you. She is fiddling with something in the fireplace. After another few moments, May glances around at you, and you hear the soft scratch of the match being lit. She buzzes to something in the grate and tiptoes from the room. Once you hear her bedroom door, you creep to the grate. A small mound of black powder, no bigger than a thimble, is burning there. It gives off heavy fumes. Sam doesn't know botany well, so I choose to extinguish the powder before anything can happen. Then I sleep. You awaken to the sound of feet in the street outside. Your night's rest has brought a new determination. Today, you will meet Emberhead on your own terms. The Ledbetter kitchen is empty, although bread and eggs have been laid out for your breakfast. There is a note from May explaining that she has taken Ruth out for a few hours. Make a quiet circuit of the village, pausing at unobtrusive places to watch the villagers. It is rather busy for this time in the morning. Young locals string back and forth along the roads, carrying bundles of split logs to the side of what you've heard referred to as the beacon. You see two figures already up its superstructure, arranged in the wood. The festival bonfire will be most impressive, but you didn't stay to see it. You suspect by now that something is amiss here. While the villagers are distracted, you may do some illicit investigation, or you may simply leave town without looking back. Concerned and knowing that May would be gone for a few hours, I decided to investigate her bedroom. Despite her hospitality, you do not trust May Ledbetter. You return to her house quite openly. Where else would you go? Inside, the dwelling is still empty. You rap on the bedroom door and wait. Silence. You ease it open. The Ledbetter bedroom is in marked contrast to your own neat space. Dirty clothes are piled throughout the floor. A rough quilt lies, school books, and cheap novels. You notice a raggedy old doll discarded down the side of the bed. You notice scrapes on the floorboards, corresponding to the legs of the bed. With effort, you slide the bed away. There's a rug spread beneath it, and beneath the rug, a trapdoor. You ease it open. The dark space beneath is some kind of cellar. Since I've come this far, I decided to investigate further. The daylight barely offers enough illumination to see, but a hot lantern during daytime would be very suspicious. You squeeze beneath the floor and glance around. Your first impression is that May keeps her junk here. There are many boxes of different sizes piled in untidy heaps. It takes a few seconds before you realize they are traveling trunks or suitcases. There are about 20 of them. The implication hits you hard, yet you maintain enough control to check luggage tags. You count 8 or 9 different names before you stop, coming back up to the bedroom. Close the trapdoor with trembling fingers, returning the bed to its place. You feel a deepening unease about Emberhead, and this day in particular. I choose to run, but not escape. I feel that would be suspicious, so I stay in town and continue investigating in places that I've been, namely, Village Hall. Keeping away from the streets, you skirt the northern cliffs and approach the Village Hall from the rear. It is close to the beacon, and you will not be able to use the door unobserved. Check the windows. The one on the east side, facing the beacon, is bricked up. The shutter is loose on the westernmost window, and you're able to ease it open and slide inside. Closing the shutter behind you, you drop into the village meeting room and pad through, passing through dim shafts of light and listening to the excited chatter of the locals from outside. The door opposite reads private. You're next to the other side, you turn the handle. The room is lined with books. In the corner is a small water closet and a pantry. Quick survey of the room reveals little, so you turn to the bookcase. The dim light makes it difficult to read the spines. Is there anything useful here? You're looking along the spines when you notice how close the bookcase is to the window on the north wall. From outside, there's a solid 3 or 4 feet between the edge of the windows and the wall, and the bookcase covers the wall with the bricked up window. Further examination reveals an ingenious arrangement of slipcases physically attached to the shelves. When you pull to the left, an entire section of the bookcase swings out. The cloud of activity around the beacon seems to be building, and you flinch at every conversation that gets too close to the building's door. You squint into the darkness behind the bookcase. There's a small alcove, Big enough for one person, it has a hidden shelf on either side. You cannot make out any tiles in this light. Knowing that the windows face the cliff, I decided to open one of the windows. Enough light spills into the room for you to make out titles. The contents of the alcove are quite different from the wider library. Books are much older, some are handwritten, and many are in strange scripts you don't recognize. You could spend a week in here just browsing through the bizarre volumes. You are drawn to a small book of strange poetry bound in black, published in Boston in 1919. The cover reads Azathoth and Others by Edward Derby. Like most of the other books, you can pocket a Derby book if you wanted. The Derby volume will require about a week of study to fully comprehend. You're contemplating your next move when you see one villager, a bald man with damaged ear, watching you intently. Some instinct makes you walk in the other direction. You see the others ahead, to your sides. A white teenager, an evil-eyed matron, and a man half-doing a club. They're not staring as obviously as the first, but they keep you under watch. And they are closing in. You cannot hope to overcome four of them at once. Sam is afraid. I choose to run. These people know their village better than you. You pick the biggest gap between them and sprint into it. They give chase. You find yourself heading to the southern road. As you approach, you see four villagers stationed in the middle of the road, clearly guards. You veer towards the half-ruined church, already breathing hard. You slip inside the building, through a broken window, and duck under the elderly boards which slash the interior, making for the door on the other side. The door is quite intact, moldy, and locked. Two of your pursuers climb into the church through the window. The two enter by the main door. Give it up! One dumps his club into his palm. It'll go better for you if you don't resist. You close in. You are getting loan options. I know that there's no way to escape, so I choose to give up. The fading light from the narrow window tells you afternoon is giving way to evening. Your hands are shackled behind your back, so you cannot even lie down on the rough bed. A woman you have not seen before comes in. Her face is wrinkled and her eyes dull. You do not meet yours, but she puts a cup to your lips. I've seen enough movies to know where this is leading, so I accept the drink in hopes of avoiding torture. You drink from the cup. It holds cool, refreshing water that you gulp down. When it is empty, she turns to leave. You speak to her, but she steps outside and closes the door. Later, you try yelling. Your voice must be audible outside, but it has no effect. It seems the entire village is involved. As the light fades outside, your little prison becomes dark. You hear much activity around the building. Occasionally, an orange glow passes the window. The only comfortable position in the shackle seems to be to sit against the end of the bed with your arms hanging behind you. You need to concentrate and come up with a plan. There's clearly no escape from your bonds. You do not know exactly what your captors want from you, but you cannot ignore the fact that they have spent their entire day constructing a massive bonfire. The door scrapes, wrenching your back into the moment. Orange light spills into the house from blazing torches held at the threshold. Two large villagers step in and grab you. At least, you assume they're villagers. They wear heavy black cloaks, and the faces and hands are painted entirely black, save only for a red triangle centered on the left eye. You try to drag your legs, but to reach under your arms and lift you bodily from the bed. Outside, it seems the whole village has congregated to see you. Every single one has a blackened face with a red triangle motif. Torches sputter and spill fire. You struggle. You can physically resist, but you see physical resistance is hopeless. You are marched to the central street and turn to face the beacon. The procession down is slow and formal, save when you sense weakness and yanking your captors. A chill touches you when you see three human shapes carried ahead of you, draped in red cloth. The beacon looms larger and larger, its dreadful silhouette a black triangle pointing to the stars. A lone drone begins among the cloaked figures. Embedded, the word mourners. Area around the beacon, 3 dancers break from the pack. Young girls swinging balls of fire and incandescent, and you find rapture, says the third. The village sings now, something rhythmic. The entire village is gathered around the beacon to watch you burn. Hand in the face paint, you recognize Melee better, and yeah. We draw here together on this night, as we do each year. We give thanks to the one who will preserve the village against the fire of the void. You will be taken by the ones from above in our stead. Your death bring life to our streets and body to our fields. It will safeguard our children and our elders alive for another year. We salute you. Bows his head. All around the beacon, bearers step forward and lift their torches to the edge of the raised platform. A ring of tiny flames flicker up and around the perimeter. As they wink, the singing of the villagers drops into an uneasy rhythm. As afraid as Sam is of the villagers, he is more afraid of them. And your flesh ought to be insufficient against the dark iron of the chains. You feel them give a little. There's a weakness in one of the links. Sam is weak. Flames snake across the kindling, catching and rising. Smoke rises and it becomes difficult to the villagers. 3 bodies surrounding you catch fire, blazing with sooty red flames. You begin to cough as the smoke enters your lungs, fight down the urge to panic. Flames lick your legs, your eyes water, you're shrouded in smoke. It might be your imagination. You see, you can feel a slight give and a change. You throw yourself against them, and the thought to how they bite into your wrists. Desperation lends you strength and you can't get what it guessed to be the weak point of the chain. Breaks. Throw the chain off, stumbling across one of the red shrouded corpses, heading away from the watching villagers. Cough. Your hair and eyebrows smolder. It hurts. The flames have reduced Sam to 3 HP from his original 12. He is able to escape with his life. You leap from the conflagration of the far side of the beacon. Your heart lurches momentarily at the sight of the sheer drop beneath you, but you land a few inches short of the edge. You roll to extinguish your burning clothes. Your lungs feel singed. Everything hurts. The chant of the villagers gathers in intensity. You appear around the beacon. You don't seem to have noticed your absence amidst the billowing smoke. Most of them are staring into the sky. You crawl as rapidly as you can for the cover of the nearest building. The village is assembled at the beacon. The streets are empty. You're able to pad away from the blaze. You must get out of town before you finish. The chanting seems to accelerate as you run the corner of the southern road. Here, parked against the side of the general store, you have your first piece of luck since reaching Emberhead. A bicycle! You went to ride one of these in Providence. You settle into the saddle. You burn flesh protests at the contact. I decide to get out of Emberhead before it is too late. It takes a moment to recapture the skills riding the bicycle. But after the first turn to the east, there's a long downhill out of Emberhead. You hear screams and crackles above you, but concentrate on balance and working the pedals in your weakened state. You've had too many hopes dashed in this abomination of a village. Keep your head down right away. 20 minutes later, with no signs of pursuit, you stop for a breather at the top of a hill. You can see Emberhead rise in the distance. The entire village seems to be ablaze. The dark column of smoke above will be visible for many miles. But as the village is as isolated as it seems, help was unlikely to arrive anytime soon. You watch the place burn for 5 minutes. Then you mount the bicycle again and ride towards civilization and dawn. The end. Thanks for watching. I have to do this again, making different decisions. There are also other solo adventures available, which I may choose to try. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified of more uploads. Thank you, and have a great day.